Welcome back. Right now, Vice President JD Vance is on his way to Los Angeles, where he's expected to meet with Marines and tour a facility that is key to the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. His visit comes less than 24 hours after a federal appeals court handed the administration a key victory in that effort, ruling that it can keep control of California National Guard troops despite fierce opposition from state leaders. NBC News political and national correspondent Jacob Soboroff joins me now from Los Angeles. So, Jacob, what has the reaction been to the vice president's visit to Los Angeles?
You can imagine, Ryan, that in this very blue city, people are not particularly pleased amongst the populace here, not only because this county has more undocumented people than any county in the United States of America, not only because there are members of federal law enforcement. You can't see it right behind me right now, but as this car gets through the federal security and into the property, you can see a very large tank or tactical vehicle, I should say, that is here with members of the U.S. Marine Corps defending the perimeter of this facility. And not just because it's been, as you said, 2 weeks since the ICE raids got underway, but because I think a lot of people have a sense of fear here, a sense that this is not the city that they know that has been portrayed by JD Vance and President Trump. And people in Los Angeles, after 2 weeks of sustained raids by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Border Patrol, Homeland Security, investigations, and even the FBI, DEA as well, I think people want to see a return to the normalcy that was happening here before all of this started. And frankly, I think they blame the Trump administration for the situation that's happening here right now.
Of course, we had a ruling from an appeals court last night, Jacob, that said that the Trump administration can maintain control of the National Guard. What's the reaction there been to that news?
Well, Gavin Newsom is very clear that he's going to continue to pursue avenues to have that National Guard deployment returned to his control. He says, when I talked to him on that Sunday night after this all started 2 weeks ago, that his authority was usurped from him and unconstitutionally, in his opinion, by President Trump. And that Title X authority, while it might be legal, the way in which it was executed was not. Obviously, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals didn't agree with that. But Gavin Newsom is looking at all possible options, including whether or not this is a lawful deployment under the laws of the United States for the Guard and the Marines to be on the streets. And they're looking very closely at whether or not they're exercising the activities of civilian law enforcement. That would be the dividing line, the red line, so to speak, for Gavin Newsom.
Okay, Jacob Soboroff, thank you for that. We appreciate it. Turning now to another immigration story that we've been following closely. This afternoon, a federal judge ordered that Mahmoud Khalil be released on bail, ruling that he was neither a flight risk nor a risk to the community. Khalil, a Columbia University graduate and permanent U.S. resident, was the leader of last year's pro-Palestinian protests at the Ivy League school. He's been in immigration custody for nearly 3 months as the Trump administration seeks to deport him. NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins me now. She's been following this case very closely. Just remind us of the facts of this case and just how big of a win is this for Khalil?
Well, Khalil, in a lot of ways, became the poster child of the Trump administration's efforts to try to arrest foreign students, really for matters of free speech. And their argument has been that they're allowed to revoke a visa, in this case a green card, because it was not in the U.S. national security interest. And of course, as you pointed out, he was a leader in those pro-Palestinian movements, but had not been charged with any crimes for anything that he did on Columbia's campus or elsewhere. Now, what they've argued in court and what they argued today before this judge, before this ruling, which clearly he disagreed with, was that because Khalil had somehow, and they argued, had not been forthcoming with his work history that he included on a visa application, therefore that was somehow a discredit to his character, and he should not be released. But the judge said there is absolutely no reason to think he's a flight risk or a risk to national security. They also argued that really this judge shouldn't be deciding whether or not he's released at all, that it should be left up to an immigration judge. The judge disagreed with that, thought he did have that authority. But what that could mean is that next they'll get an immigration judge to weigh in and try to keep him from being released.
So talk about that. What are the next steps?
Well, they could either appeal it and keep it within the federal system, or they could go to immigration judges, which, work for the Justice Department. They're not part of the judicial branch. And as we've reported here, they've all been given a lot of very strict instructions from the Justice Department recently to dismiss cases for asylum from the bench, not to allow people to appeal. And they have had an immigration judge in Louisiana previously rule he should be detained. So if they could find an immigration judge who won't weigh in on whether or not he is a national security threat or anything like that, but basically, does he have to be detained to guarantee his deportation, and is he eligible for deportation? That will be up to an immigration judge if they decide to go that route.
So there's still a real possibility that he could be deported.
Yeah, that still remains a possibility that has not been cleared up yet. But his lawyers and his family for some time have argued he should not be in Louisiana. If anything, if he was going to be detained, they wanted it closer to home. As you know, he recently became a father. And this comes after we also saw a court ruling saying that Harvard could go forward to bring in international students, something the Trump administration tried to block. So really 2 wins today on the front of international students against the Trump administration. But as you know, these things are never over.
Okay, Julia Ainsley, thank you for that. We appreciate it.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.